Ukraine's president has proposed Europe creates its own army to fight Russia in light of declining support from the United States. Volodymyr Zelensky was speaking at the Munich Security Summit, where US Vice President J.D. Vance had lectured European leaders about leaning too much on their American ally for funds and military aid.
Well, this all comes after US President Donald Trump held a 90-minute conversation with his Russian counterpart, which included discussions on ending the war in Ukraine. While most European leaders have reacted with shock, Mr. Trump's approach has received support from at least one Ukrainian MP from President Zelensky's party. Oleksandr Merezhko is the chairman of the Ukrainian Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, and I spoke to him a little earlier.
Even if we imagine, which is impossible in my opinion, even if we imagine that there is some kind of deal reached between President Trump and Putin, even in this situation, it's just impossible to impose this deal, this agreement upon Ukrainians, because we have proved many times and continue to prove that we're not kind of people on whom such deals can be imposed without our will. And secondly, I also believe in President Trump. I'm sure that he's an ambitious politician who is thinking how he will be remembered in history. And he doesn't want to be remembered as a new Neville Chamberlain, as a appeaser of the Kremlin tyrant. I'm sure that his strong personality and he will continue to support Ukraine.
All right, that being the case, you know, when you come to a peace negotiations, both sides are going to have to meet in the middle. What is it that Ukraine is willing to give up? And would that include the issue of Ukraine's membership to NATO?
Well, we have two the most important red lines, which cannot be crossed, and we cannot sacrifice them. First and foremost, this is about our territorial integrity. We will never agree to any territorial concessions because it is in our constitution. It's impossible politically, it's impossible from moral point of view, and it's impossible from legal point of view. This is the first major red line. A second red line, this is about our future and about our survival. And in this regard, the best guarantee of our security and the best guarantee of our survival is NATO membership. And this goal to become a NATO member is also in our constitution, in its preamble. So these are two major red lines which we cannot sacrifice.
Look, but at the same time, Russia may not want Ukraine to join NATO, but at the same time, European members have also been dragging their feet when it comes to Ukraine being part of NATO as well.
Yeah, with regard to Russia, with regard to Putin, this matter should be totally off the table in any communication, any negotiations with Putin. It's not up to him to decide whether or not Ukraine should join a specific international organization, because it's violation of the principle of sovereign equality of states under international law. As for our European partners, yes, there are some skeptics, there are some apprehensions, but if you take all the calculations together, you realize that this is the least costly, the most rational way out. It's the best solution to stop Putin's aggression, and it's the best, the less costly way to guarantee European security and security all over the world.
Okay, but just on that point, President Zelensky, speaking at the Munich Security Summit, did suggest that perhaps Europe needs to create its own army. Is that a feasible solution, and is that something that perhaps Ukraine might want to be a part of instead of a NATO membership?
Well, we want to join the European Union as soon as possible because, at least from my perspective, it's not only a matter of economic issues. It's also about our security. It's also a kind of guarantee, not as reliable as NATO membership, of course, but still it's security guarantee because, first of all, let's not forget that the European Union already has common foreign policy and common defense policy, which can be developed. When Ukraine joins the EU, it can be developed very quickly. Additionally, President Macron has mentioned several times that he's in favor of creating European army. So Europe should think about strengthening its defense, and Ukraine can be very helpful because at present time, Ukraine plays the role of the shield of Europe. We are fighting not only for ourselves, but for Europe and for the security in Europe.
Oleksandr, we're coming up to the third anniversary of this current war with Russia. Thousands of Ukrainians have lost their loved ones, their friends, their family. If Ukraine was to capitulate in this negotiation for peace with Russia, was the last 3 years worth it?
First of all, I remember the first days of the full-scale invasion because all this time I stayed in Kyiv with my family, with my small children when we were encircled by Russian army. And I got an impression that many believed that we would not be able to defend ourselves, that we would collapse within 3 days and Russia would take Kyiv. And we proved that we continue to fight. We have been waging this war for our survival and independence for 11 years, including, of course, 3 years of the full-scale invasion. The thing is that for us, it's truly existential battle, because if we stop fighting, we understand that we'll be finished, we'll be annihilated as a state and as a nation. So we don't have any other option just to continue to fight. And surrender for us is absolutely not an option.